1,200 miles of storm drains that connect to the largest waste treatment facilities in the country. On it, 7,300 miles of streets and alleys with about 200,000 potholes fixed and over 100 miles of streets resurfaced annually. From above, an urban forest of 680,000 street trees trimmed for beauty and healthy, clean air, as well as maintaining the 230,000 street lights that light our 24-hour city. The Department of Public Works helped design and build 32 new libraries since 1998, 76 recreation and park projects, and a national award-winning wastewater treatment plant. The Department of Public Works, striving to make the city of Los Angeles a home that future generations will cherish.
Sometimes things don't always go as planned. Except when you vote. You can be assured when you vote on Election Day using InkaVote Plus, you won't accidentally vote a blank ballot, and the reader will check your ballot for overvotes. You can count on your ballot being accurate. It's nice to know some things do go as planned.
Clamps.
Clamps.
Power screwdriver.
Power screwdriver.
Now, for the moment of truth.
To replace streetlights anywhere in the city of Los Angeles, call Operation Bright Lights today.
LA City View Channel 35. Your city, your channel.
No, I'm not. But I need to do something different or something. I don't know what.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council meeting for January 16th, 2008. I'm Council President Eric Garcetti, joined by my colleague, Mr. Dennis Zine, Ed Reyes, Tom LaBonge, Jose Huizar, Tony Cardenas, Greg Smith, and Richard Alarcon. We have 8 members, and we are waiting 2 more for quorum. Appreciate the council members who are here on time pursuant to council rules. We have a couple excuses on the desk, so we are not expecting Ms. Gruhl and Mr. Weiss, who are both excused today. But otherwise, we do expect all the rest of the members to be here. So I'd like to ask Councilwoman Hahn to please come down as soon as possible. Councilmember Parks to please make his way down as soon as possible. Councilmember Perry to join us. Councilman Bill Rosendahl to join us, and Councilmember Wesson to please come down. As soon as we have 2 more members, we will begin the meeting. In the meantime, we want to thank our viewers on Channel 35 who have joined us. We're broadcast live each Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. and rebroadcast in the evenings. We also want to welcome our visitors here to City Hall and our viewers out at Van Nuys City Hall, where we have teleconferencing facilities. And anybody who wishes to speak for public comment can do so either here in council chambers or in Van Nuys. If you wish to do so, please fill out a speaker card and hand it to one of the sergeants at arms or staff that is there in Van Nuys council chambers, and we'll be sure to include you during the hearings that we conduct today. All items receive a public hearing either in committee or in the full council. If they've already received a hearing in committee, it requires a reopening of public comment to do that. You can also give public comments of a general nature on items that are not on the agenda but under our jurisdiction, and just fill out a speaker card under public comment, and we will make sure we hear that. We have a clock here to help people guide their comments for 2 minutes. Finally, we are broadcast not only on television but also through the web at our city's homepage, lacity.org, where you can click on live streaming webcast and also go to our video archive, a video on demand of our past council meetings. Click on old agendas and it will take you right to the time that we are speaking about those items on our past meetings. And lastly, you can always use your telephone through a service called Council Phone at 213-621-CITY, and you can listen to the proceedings of the City Council via your telephone there. Again, we are waiting 2 more council members, and the following council members are late. Councilwoman Hahn, Councilmember Parks, Councilmember Parks is here, excuse me, Councilmember Perry, Councilmember Rosendahl, and Councilmember Wesson. If one of the following will please come down, Mr. Wesson, Mr. Rosendahl, Ms. Perry, or Ms. Hahn, as soon as possible. We are waiting you to have a quorum, which is 2/3 of our 15-member body, and to begin our meeting. So we have Ms. Perry here, and with that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Huizar, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Okay, Mr. Parks moves and Mr. Huizar seconds. Without objection, those minutes will be approved. Next items.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
All right, Mr. Cardenas moves and Mr. Alarcon seconds. Without objection, those will be approved as well. We can run through the agenda, please.
First item on the agenda is an item notice for public hearing. There is an ordinance, and I believe 12 council members will be present today. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
Yes, please. Let's hold that on the desk for 12 members. Next items.
Next items are items for which public hearings have been held, items 2 through 17. Item 2 is an ordinance. Do you wish to hold that as well?
Yes, please. Let's hold that on the desk. That leaves us 3 through 17, colleagues. Any specials, Mr. Parks?
Whole 17 to the Budget and Finance report comes in.
Okay.
That has been submitted, and I believe they concur with the other report, public safety.
So if they don't conflict, you want to move that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will not hold that. Any other specials, colleagues? 3 through 17? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll on those items, close the roll, and tabulate the vote. Oh, sorry.
11 ayes.
Okay. Let's reconsider number 12 for Mr. Rosendahl and 13 for Mr. Huizar. Okay. For reconsideration of 12 and 13, please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And let's hold those 2 special. Next items, please.
Next items are items for which public hearings have not been held, items 18 through 31. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, let's hold on the desk the ordinances until we have Ms. Hahn or Mr. Wesson here. That leaves us 23 through 39. I do not see any speaker cards on those, so we'll open and close the public hearings. Mr. Parks?
17.
Move 17?
Yeah.
Oh, we did. I'm sorry. I thought you said it was good.
Oh, no, fine.
Okay, all right. So we have voted on 17, so we're good on that. Or did you hold it on the desk? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll take that up in a second then. 23 through 39, any specials, colleagues? Again, colleagues, this is 23 through 39. Any specials? Seeing none, let's go ahead and open the roll. On 23 through 39, close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Those are approved. If we can take up 17 now. Please open the roll on 17. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Huizar?
Yes, can we please reconsider number 4? Mr. Reyes has an amending motion, or we could hold it on the desk.
Okay.
Either way, what's the
Let's
proper
go ahead on
procedure
number
for that?
4 and open the roll on reconsideration. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Okay, we'll hold that on the desk. Next items, please.
Next items, Mr. President, are the closed session items 40 through 44. Do you wish to hold those on the desk?
Yes, please. We'll hold those for closed session. And
There is a special meeting, but it's not quite 10:15. Do you wish to
Okay.
take up public comment?
yes, let's go ahead and do public comment at this time. I'd like to invite forward James Ota to speak for public comment. Good morning, Mr. Ota.
President Garcetti and city council members. My name is James Ota Trucking, with Harbor Truckers for a Sustainable Future. We're all for CAP. How can one deny not to improve the quality of air we all breathe? In October 2008, all pre-1989 trucks will be banned from entering the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. The finance companies that will use the 1B bond monies to replace these older trucks need to make the qualifications affordable to the present harbor truckers. Not having restrictions on engine size, all these older trucks are to become scrap metal. If the truck has a track record of being in the harbor, regardless of the registered owner, and the prior owner has used his truck in the ports as his principal place of business, should not be denied. Independent truckers in the harbor are trying to comply with the requirements both ports are requiring, but let it be affordable for us to replace these older trucks and stay in business in the harbor. Having the terminals be more efficient is a key factor in all concern. The truckers trying to spend waiting in long lines is our biggest problem. All this waiting time is polluting the air. All the waiting time cuts into our earnings. The more efficient the ports are helps the truckers with turn times, which increase the amount of containers being delivered. Concession is a big no. We don't need independent drivers to become union company drivers. Our earnings will increase with the ports being more efficient, and we'll be able to deliver more containers, which increase our revenues. The writer's strike has been going on for more than 60 days, and his or her support groups are suffering with this strike. But when the strike is over, everyone will go back to work. You eliminate the independent truckers and many trucking companies and their support groups, there won't be another day to return to work. We will be eliminated. Yes for clean air, but no to concession. Have the ports be more efficient and the longshoremen work an 8-hour shift, not a 5-hour for an 8-hour shift. Let us stay in business and to grow with the ports to become the world's largest container ports. Clean air for everyone to breathe and eliminate health issues that are related to polluted air.
Thank you,
but
Mr.
there's no
Ota.
reason for concession and union.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate them. Arnold Sachs is our next speaker. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I was hoping to take this time, hopefully this year, to eliminate the use of the word transparency. And I wanted to do a little education for you regarding transparency like lead. And to do that, I would bring to your attention that this is going to deal with Southern California Edison. In October of last year, top Edison executive to retire. This is from the business section of the LA Times. The CEO, who had been with Edison for 13 years, he had been, the new CEO had been at Edison for 11 years and spent the last few years as president and chief executive of Irvine-based Edison Mission Group. Anyway, from 2007, if you subtract 11 years from 2007, you come up with 1996, which would have been prior to the deregulation baloney that the state legislature forced on the consumers. And this article that appeared in the LA Times, an Edison timeline from May 6th, has a timeline of Edison. And in it said, in July 1909, the company changed its name to Southern California Edison. Then it goes on to list a number of achievements. And in 1996, it says, Edison International is incorporated with Southern California Edison as a subsidiary. My point being that Southern California Edison started out as a parent, and now it's a subsidiary. This is an advertisement for Edison that says it's leading the way, Edison International, for the last 20 years. The only thing is, the difference between them in 20 years is Edison International. Today's Edison International.
I appreciate it. And just I'd very respectfully ask you to remember that we take a general comment, things that are directly under our jurisdiction, so if we could keep constrained to that as much as possible, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
The transparency is under your jurisdiction.
Thank you. That'll close our general public comment right now. And if we can take up the ordinances now that we have 12 members, that's number 1, 2, and 18 through 22.
And Mr. President, just for council's information, item number 1 is an item notice for public hearings, and if there are no cards, council should close the public hearing as well on that.
We have no cards on 1, so we will go ahead and close the public hearing on that. So let's go ahead and prepare the roll on 1 and 2, 18 through 22. And tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. Next item, please.
Next item, Mr. President, it's after 10:15. Do you wish to take up the special meeting at this time?
Let's go ahead and please call the roll for the special meeting.
Alacron, Cardenas, Gruel, Han, Weezer, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Weston, Sign, Garcetti. 12 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first item, please.
First item on the agenda is a confirmation of Mr. Gilbert Bautista to the LA Convention and Exhibit Authority, and TCT met on that this morning, and I don't believe the committee report has been submitted as yet.
Let's hold that on the desk then. Next item.
Next item is item 46, and that's Public Safety and Budget and Finance Committee report.
Okay, anybody wishing to call 46 special? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll on that. Close the roll. Please tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved.
And do you wish to continue 45 to the regular meeting and adjourn the special meeting?
Yes, please, and let's hold 45 until we have that report. In the meantime, if we can take up the next item.
First item called special is item 4, and that was called special by Councilmember Reason. I believe there's an amending motion in the works, and I don't know if it's been
distributed. Mr. Reyes, did you have an amending motion on item 4? Okay. Should I recognize Mr. Reyes? Okay.
Yes, I believe that amending motion is making its way. So if the Councilmember Huizar called this special, for myself, great. Council colleagues, as you know, we have been doing our best to address our personnel shortage in our police department. And we've been very fortunate to have the public sector and the private sector working together. You know, General Electric and other companies have essentially worked with us providing these cameras. Well, they were a success. The amending motion asked that we get a status on these cameras, not only MacArthur Park, but citywide. We want to compliment the chief because he's been very creative in trying to bring private resources, but it comes at a time when we have to address how we can maintain them, where's the consistency, and look at the approach in which we can continue leveraging these opportunities. I'm expanding, with your support, the presence of cameras on 6th Street and other streets around the park. As you know, when we focused on MacArthur Park, the crime is like water. You can clean it up, try to address it in one section, but it'll flow where it can go. So we want to intercept it by allowing these cameras to be in areas that have a preponderance of activities. Unfortunately, we had a baby shot to death that highlighted this type of activity. It's something we've been wanting to do for years as we phased in this type of work. I want to thank our Deputy Director, Chief Beck, Charlie Beck. We know him as Captain Beck. I keep calling him that. But we've been able to work with him and Sergeant Dan Gomez, who has also been working on this process. So with your support, we'll do the following. One is expand the number of cameras on 6th Street. If you drive down 6th Street, you'll see there's a lot of trash and debris. There's a lot of vendors on the sidewalks. I would hope the committee can help me by minimizing that supply and demand situation there, but no longer going to those vendors. Two, we want to get a status on the MacArthur Park cameras, but also a status on all the cameras and how we're going to address this issue of maintenance. And essentially three, look at the citywide perspective. So I ask for your support. I ask for an aye vote. I think this is a healthy thing to do. The camera is but one tool of many different components that makes an area secure, and with your support we can move forward. We are now circulating the amending motion, so I'm hoping that is in front of you. We can vote on that. I appreciate your support.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Zine. Is our next speaker?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Reyes, a program that you brought in, and I remember the council meeting we had in MacArthur Park, and what a wonderful success it was, and what these cameras did to assist the police department in their endeavors to establish safety. One thing I have found, and I did an audit of the police stations where they have video operation in many police stations, those systems weren't working. So what we find is we invested in equipment, and I know in 77th Street they've got cameras. We're in the process of installing cameras in the West San Fernando Valley to assist the police department. And one of the things we haven't really done well with is the maintenance and the upgrades of those systems. So your measure is in order, and I think that the broad scale that you're looking at is overdue for a review, because if we do it in one area, we're going to find the similar problems in many other areas. And as far as the videos, we've been working for at least 6 years that I know of to try and put video in cars. And the videos that were initially installed in some of the cars in Rampart Division weren't maintained. And the problem is we're falling short on the maintenance and the upgrade program. So you're requesting this $1,290 money, the $150,000, which is an investment in the safety of the people of Los Angeles. So I congratulate you on bringing this forward to the floor.
And then you're raising a significant point. As we go through the transition of the older stations to the newer stations, we should be focused on how that transition will occur and where do we best leverage our resources and how we invest in these monies. So I appreciate your observation, and I know this will be a citywide effort that we all need to assess.
Thank you very much. Mr. Labange.
Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes, I stand to support this here. Will this also cover MacArthur Park?
Yes, it covers
Parkview at 7th, 8th?
Not only MacArthur Park, and I want to understand what the status of those cameras, but I also want to understand the status of all the cameras in trying to bridge this link of how we strengthen our relationship with the private sector and how they've been supporting us. I think Chief Bryan has gone to a point where he understands we can't do it alone. So now it's up to us to figure out how we maintain our consistency and in our maintenance in using these pro bono services as well as equipment.
Great. Well, I stand to support you because of the extremely important job that you've done at MacArthur Park in transforming it, and we shouldn't slip it all. And all the way down, if we could, to Lafayette, because I know that's a wonderful, much-used public park there as well. Thank you, Madam President, and support Mr. Reyes on this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti.
Thank you very much. And first, let me congratulate Ed Reyes, who's done an extraordinary job at MacArthur Park. I read that article this morning and was not, I thought it didn't capture the work that he has done to make what used to be the worst park probably in Los Angeles a place where families go to, where we have concerts, where today we still feel safe going to. And I know that we have crime that goes sometimes in waves, but what they didn't talk about was the overall reduction, which has made that a transformed area of our city and once again a proud place to be. I rise also to support this, and we have worked very hard on cameras throughout this city. Hollywood Division was actually the very first division in the city to do this years ago. And then Rampart, under Mr. Reyes' leadership, was the first area to kind of do it in conjunction with what Chief Bratton wanted to do in looking at safer cities areas and real targeted broken windows theories being applied to Los Angeles. It's now a place where people feel safe to go. But since then, we've had a couple issues and a couple problems I wanted to bring up. And Chief Beck, who will always be Captain Beck to us, but we love you as Chief too, but we say that because you did such a great job when you were at Rampart, really putting that not only MacArthur Park, but some of the parks that we've had as well in the northern stretches of Rampart, and we've continued doing that. Los Angeles Police Department, I'll say it every single time this comes up, needs to have a coordinated strategy on cameras. Right now, it is a decentralized strategy in which you have each division kind of in charge of its own technology, in charge of its own maintenance, in charge of each one of these things. And I don't fault the captains for that. But I said that actually in Budget and Finance Committee 4 years ago when we were hip on cameras. And I understand that budget times are tight, but as you hear, I know Ms. Perry can talk about the impact they've had downtown. I know Ms. Hahn can talk about the impact they've had in Jordan Downs. We've spent a lot of time on that, but it's time for us to do that in a coordinated way. This is a bad budget year to do it. I wish we had done it 4 years ago. But, for instance, our experience at Northeast Division has been that they weren't sure about how to do the technology when in fact, Rampart had great technology and Hollywood had a different one. We've had issues where we have taken money, not only CRA money, like Mr. Reyes is doing, but we've had donations. We have had business improvement districts buy cameras along Hollywood Boulevard. We use targeted neighborhood initiative money in East Hollywood to do a whole web of cameras. So, as long as you've come to the table, Chief, what is LAPD going to do to make sure that this is a coordinated technological strategy, that we look finally at wiring this city and each division and demanding accountability that is as good as what you brought to Rampart? Because we're lucky when we get the Charlie Becks of the world to be captains, but we're not when we get other captains who don't see what cameras can do or don't understand the maintenance of them.
Councilman Charlie Beck from South Bureau.
Please hold my time.
Chief Bratton is a firm believer in technology to leverage the deployment of police officers. You know that. He has had conversations with me as recently as Monday about consolidating our efforts as far as technology, in particular the camera systems that have sprung up all over the city. I think that the council understands that police officers are very much necessity is a mother of invention in this case, and they want to develop technology to reduce crime, and they do that. But then you get disparate systems that are hard to upkeep and that are difficult to support, which is not always an awful thing. I mean, sometimes you can't look a gift horse in the mouth, so to speak, but we need to do a better job. You're absolutely right. The chief of police understands that. He is going to make some reorganizations in the near future that will address this issue, and I hope that I'll be able to expand my involvement and work with the council on this.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and we appreciate it. I know what we talked about, and I think there was a motion from 3 years ago. Mr. Reyes wants to introduce one, and I'd be happy to assist in any way. We'd love to give a timeline for that, just so we can know, in 60 days you're going to report back, have that. If we can help move that along, that would be something very positive for us as well. I'll just conclude by saying cameras work, but obviously only if they work.
Only if they work and only if they're supported.
And that support is critical. Public safety cameras for the public are nothing to fear the way we've designed them here, because there's tight limits on the civil liberties issues around them. I lived in Britain, which has literally hundreds of thousands of cameras deployed, and they've been extremely effective. And, in the May 1st incident in MacArthur Park, there's some civil libertarians who worried about having these cameras. It was those very same cameras that when you gave the report, the post-action report, that showed the actions and the accountability of everybody. That's why the cameras are going to be good in our police cars, because whenever there is a misconduct, it will record it. But most of the time when it's showing good conduct or catching criminals, it will also be there as the eyes and the ears of a force that still is too small, but that we can multiply through technology. So I look forward to that, and thank you, Mr. Reyes, for your leadership, and people should know MacArthur Park is today a place that's safe to go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti. Council President Garcetti. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Madam President. Again, just for the sake of clarity, I want to thank our President of the Council for his observations. We are going to, in the directive in item 4A, directive number 3, as amended, the operational status and maintenance schedules and responsibilities for all city security cameras in public spaces throughout the city. So that is something we want to embrace so that we could essentially understand where we need to interject resources, how we can further complement the fine work that Chief Deputy Beck has accomplished, along with the other chiefs who are involved throughout the city, and support Chief Brandon in this effort. So, again, colleagues, I thank you for your support, and we look forward to making sure we take full advantage of technology and maximize our relationship with the private sector. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote?
13 ayes.
Thank you very much. Next item.
Next item, Madam President, is item number 12.
Mr. Smith?
Madam President, I just want to ask forthwith on the following police department grants: 910, 11, 14, 15, 16, and 46, all police department grants.
So noted. Thank you very much. All right, Madam Clerk.
Next item is item 12, and that was called special by Councilmember Rosendahl.
Mr. Rosendahl.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to ask Chief Butts from the Lawa Airport to come on up to the podium. First of all, Chief, I want to thank you for coming here today, and I also want to thank you for your leadership at LAX. It's become quite apparent to everyone who deals with LAX that you are truly, once again, as the mayor has done in so many positions, put really competent, capable people in it that provide the leadership to make things better. So bless you for assuming that responsibility, and we already feel the difference. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Just the other day, a personal experience, I had to do a family thing, and I went through the screening at the airport, and they took away my cocoa butter and they took away my Crest toothpaste. Many of us going through those procedures don't clearly understand what we can take, what we can't take, and of course I gave up my toothpaste and my cocoa butter, which of course I wish I didn't have to. Do you have any sense of a list of what you can carry and not carry when you're doing carry-on, and can we publish that to our folks using the airport as a helpful support?
Well, it's on the TSA website. We can publish it on our own website, and that would probably be very helpful. But when it comes to liquids, you can not carry more than 1.4 ounces of a particular liquid, and it has to be sealed in a Ziploc baggie.
So why don't you put it on the LAWA website, and then also send it to me on my website, and I will also distribute it to my constituents. So, more user-friendly, customer-friendly I want to be. From that personal experience, it's clear we don't clearly know what we can carry on and not carry on.
I'll do that, sir.
Okay. We know that LAX is one of the top terrorist targets in America since 9/11. And we're obviously concerned when we see a newspaper story that says TSA did not necessarily do what they needed to do, or they did some spot checks and they found out things weren't happening. Today, here we are, it's the 16th of January 2008. Give us a sense of how that process is now working.
Well, I work very closely with Larry Fetters. He's the Federal Security Director for TSA at LAX. And they do periodically test their employees unannounced and they test them on objects that are very benign and very small. At times, their results on those tests don't come up to their expectations. They immediately take employees offline, retrain them, and retest. And I have great confidence in the work that's been done to bring the screeners up to standard.
God forbid somebody's trying to get through and they might have a weapon of some sort, and we're able through TSA to understand and catch that. What is the role between TSA and your police at that particular point?
Well, for example, if a suspicious item is viewed in either one of the screening lines or in a CTX machine, we are immediately called. The LAPD bomb squad's immediately called, as well as our explosive detecting canines. We immediately close off the area of the affected machine, conduct an inspection, and based on the results of that inspection, we either reopen it promptly and clear the incident or hold the devices for further inspection.
Is there anything we as a city can do to support you in giving us more comfort that we're secure at our airport?
Actually, you've given us tremendous support in making the airport as safe and secure as it could be.
That's all my questions, Mr. President. Ms. Hahn, Chair might want to say something. I don't know.
Ms. Hahn is our next speaker.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Mr. President. Chief Butts, thank you for being here today. I introduced this motion along with Councilmember Rosendahl and Councilmember Weiss after we read what was a very disturbing report in the LA Times that these spot tests revealed that our TSA screeners missed like 75% of fake bombs.
Well, just a slight modification to that. It wasn't a fake bomb. The item they were searching for was detonation cord, an item a little bit smaller in circumference and length of an ink pen. And they were trying to see if their screeners could catch that. Yes, exactly.
But of course it was disturbing, to those of us who read that. And I think one of the things that we'd like to hear is, what exactly is the relationship between you and our airport police officers and TSA? Because while TSA, those are federal employees, much like our air traffic controllers, if there was something to go wrong at LAX, particularly items that had been missed during screening, naturally it would be us in the city of Los Angeles, it would be LAX, it would be our airport police officers that would probably be the object of, disappointment. Well, that's a mild word. So it's hard to explain to the traveling public. It's hard to explain the perception that if something went wrong, what is our relationship? And you said you had great confidence in them, pulling somebody off the line, retraining. How can we be assured? What exactly is your relationship? Why do you have that kind of confidence? And what day-to-day interaction do we have with our law enforcement officers out at LAX with the federal employees that do the screening?
Well, that's an excellent question. When it starts with the leadership, Larry Fetters, the Federal Security Director, is on the 6th floor of the tower. I'm on the 5th floor. We can walk a flight of stairs to talk, and we talk periodically throughout the week. Larry Fetters is a 30-plus year law enforcement veteran from the LAPD, and I've known him for all of my career. And so we have not only a professional but a personal relationship. When it comes to the line personnel that operate in the terminals, we interact constantly with the screeners, and of course, anytime there's a suspicious item, we're right there with them working to resolve the issue. It's a very strong collegial and professional relationship, and that's why I have this confidence that we'll only get better as time goes by.
So when he gets knowledge or reports or statistics on certain things, he and you share that, talk about that, and work on strategies to improve security at LAX?
Immediately.
That's good to know, because I think we've been frustrated sometimes too in the city, particularly in our committee, when we've asked for a response from the federal government. They obviously don't have to respond to us in the city, but that relationship that you have fostered clearly is going to, I think, be the difference between a secure airport and one that has still a few holes in it.
And I want to assure you, Larry Fetters is extremely responsive whenever I have a question, as I am to him.
Good. Good. Well, thank you very much, Chief Butts, and I think this makes us all feel better. But I agree with Councilmember Rosendahl that still LAX is one of the top targets, and we want to make sure that we just remain ever vigilant and ever on guard and on watch for what might happen at LAX.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the fine work you do and the fine work that our airport police officers do on a daily basis.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Mr. Labange.
I just want to thank Chief Butts. I've been through the airport last year several times, and your team were very good officers and very good representatives of Los Angeles, so I thank you. And I know we work with a multitude of agencies out there in regards to former Deputy Chief Fetters, and I think we're fortunate to have that relationship with someone who knows Los Angeles. So I just wanted to stand and say thank you.
And I will pass that on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. That's our final speaker. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Thank you very much, Director Butts. Appreciate you being here, and that is approved. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 13, and that was called reconsidered and called special.
Okay. That was called special by Mr. Weezer. Mr. Weezer? Oh,
I actually called that special for Ms. Hahn. Ms. Hahn?
beautifully done.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Hahn.
Wasn't that special? Thank you, colleagues. I just wanted to rise and highlight this RV ordinance, a mixture of a little bit of criticism and a little bit of optimism. We've been trying to enact this RV ordinance for, almost 2 years now. So I'm a little disappointed that it's taken this long for a Department of Transportation to come forward with an implementation process. This was, I introduced this RV ordinance in response to what is a problem citywide. I heard from a lot of my constituents in San Pedro where they were really frustrated with people parking their RVs on our city streets, not parking them where they should in storage facilities. And it was more than just blight, although it is blight. It's more than just an eyesore, which sometimes they are eyesores. They've become public safety hazards. There were locations in San Pedro where, because of the parking of a RV, people literally had to pull around and go in the opposing traffic lane to get around them. So people are not supposed to park their RVs on our city streets. So we've come up with an ordinance that will not allow parking of oversized vehicles, RVs, also boats and trailers would apply to this, between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., which would virtually ban overnight parking, except for we've come up with provisions for people who maybe are loading up their RV for a trip the next day, or say they come home late at night and don't have time to unload. We've given them an ability to get, I think, $10 a day permits up to 3 days that they can load and unload their RV without being ticketed. We're still not ready to implement this, apparently, citywide. I'm not sure why, but we are doing a pilot program in the 15th District, and the street that we've designated is 25th Street in South Shores. It's a 30-day pilot program. We're going to see how this works. I was interested in rolling this out a lot sooner so that if there were issues, there were problems, we could fix them, but we're going to start now. And as you remember, council members, this is going to be a program where we, along with our homeowners groups and our neighborhood councils, we designate the streets that we would like to see posted with signage and then enforced. So it's up to us to decide where the problems lie and how we can fix them. So I want to thank DOT for finally getting to the point where we can do a pilot program. By the way, since we've done ours, for instance, the city of Torrance based on what they thought we were going to do even quicker, have enacted an ordinance, and they're citywide. You drive into Torrance, and there's signs everywhere that say no overnight parking of RVs. So we started first, but we haven't been able to implement it as quickly as some of our neighboring municipalities. So just want to thank DOT for finally getting here.
Thank you. We have Mr. Rosendahl and then Mr. Zine. Mr. Rosendahl?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Hahn said it all. We're very happy in the 11th District because we're also part of the pilot. It's going to happen in South Brentwood. Many of my constituents have been up in arms about these oversized campers, just like in Ms. Hahn's district, that have impacted quality of life in neighborhoods. Ms. Hahn went through the process that you're going to have to go through. And so we just want to make it very clear that community comes first, and these oversized vehicles, if they go by the law and they get the permits and they get the opportunity to work with us, they'll be fine. But if they don't, they'll be fined and they'll be in trouble. Is there anybody from DOT here that could comment on it? Ms. Jackson? Well, good morning. Ms. Jackson, you heard Ms. Hahn there. Is there anything you want to add to this program and tell us how we think it might take us?
The oversized vehicle ordinance, sir?
Yes.
Thank you. Carolyn Jackson, Senior Management Analyst, Department of Transportation. The department has been requested to report back to the Transportation Committee at its next meeting on this item, and that report is currently under preparation.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
And under the preparation, you want to add a little bit to what we've been talking about?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was caught off guard.
That's very interesting. I liked your candor. That's okay. The bottom line is we're doing two pilots, one in the 15th District and one in the 11th.
That's correct.
And our hope is to do what?
To try it out, see how it works, see if it can be supported by funds, and see how it works in the communities before we roll it out any further.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We're hoping that it'll assist with the problems they're having with motorhomes being parked long-term on public streets and used as living quarters.
Yeah, and I can tell you also that in my Venice area, there's a great interest in moving in that direction as well. And so we'll see what happens in South Brentwood and also in San Pedro and Wilmington over there.
And our staff will be happy to work with yours to resolve the problems that you're currently having. We expect to come back to committee with a report on this within the next month.
Great. Thank you so much. Sorry to catch you like that. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Zine.
Before you retreat, I need a couple questions answered. Thank you. Some cities have a sign at the entrance to the city limits listing restrictions.
Correct.
Why can't we do that if this matter goes citywide instead of posted on different streets, such as trailers, unhitched trailers? We have an unhitched trailer ordinance, and we have to post it on each street where they park the unhitched trailers. Why can't we, like other cities, at the city limits, post the sign what the requirements, the regulations are, instead of hundreds of signs that would be, if this goes citywide, be posted in all these areas?
I understand what you're saying, and I've seen those signs myself and in other cities. Those cities are usually much smaller and less diverse than the city of Los Angeles, so they really can say don't park anywhere in city limits. But within the city of Los Angeles, there are a number of different types of streets than you'll find in those smaller cities. This will all be part of the discussion that comes forward to the committee at its February meeting.
But there's always an entrance to the city and an exit to the city.
That's correct.
So if we were to look into that, for example, the San Fernando Valley, as they enter the valley, major thoroughfares coming in from other jurisdictions, I just think it might be more convenient for the motoring public as well as for the residents to understand the consequences. So it's all listed there. I know that the unhitched trailer signs, we see a proliferation of those because of the unhitched trailers that we have a problem with throughout the valley. The other question I have is on the oversize. It doesn't state in the report I have the sizes we're talking about. Exactly what size are we talking about with the oversize?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The oversize. How would we describe an oversize?
It's probably going to be by height and length.
Is that already been worked out?
My guess. That will all be included in our report. I'm sorry, this is not my project.
Okay, because oversize.
It is the department's project. We take it very seriously, and all that will be covered in our report.
Okay, so that hasn't been defined yet?
No. I don't know.
2 feet. It has been defined.
Well, if we go about the length, There's also the height, because some of these converted vans have a camper and it puts on top and it's extremely high. It may not have the 22-foot length, but it's extremely high. And I'm concerned that we draft this, we include both of those. That would be the height and the length.
Well, we'll be working with the council offices that have been affected and with the members of the committee to come up with the definitions of each needs.
Okay, because it's not only San Pedro, the districts of the 11th, it's also in the San Fernando Valley, which has been a problem for a long period of time.
I understand. I've had that problem myself.
There you go. So you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
When do we expect this back?
This will be back at least by mid-February, if not sooner.
And then it will be implemented in the pilot?
Yes.
And the pilot is going to have 2 council districts or just certain areas within those council districts?
I'm not certain.
Okay. All right. So we'll look to next month to get some progress on it.
We'll be happy to keep your office apprised of our progress.
Because I was unaware this was even going through to this level. So if you could, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is our last speaker, so you do not have to be at the table anymore. Congratulations. And with that, we'll go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item is item number 45, and that's confirmation of Mr. Gilbert Bautista, and the committee report has been distributed to the council.
It has been distributed. All right. Well, and that went through which committee? That went through Arts Park?
The TCT.
TCT. Oh, that's right, of course. Well, thank you for your patience. Good morning. I'd like to recognize the chair of our TCT committee, Ms. Hahn, and after that we'll hear from Mr. Smith. As chair of the committee, would you like to speak about our nominee?
Thank you. Councilmember LaBonge was in committee this morning, and when he was confirmed, I was not there, so I was hoping he...
Mr. Bautista, would you like to say anything in terms of your interest in serving at the outset and your qualifications? Appreciate you putting yourself forward as willing to serve us, and congratulations on your nomination. So why don't you tell the council a little something about yourself?
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. It's a great opportunity to be here and get an opportunity to work for the City of Los Angeles. I've talked to several of the City Council members, and I look forward to this opportunity to continue to make the city the best in this country.
Sounds good. Well, Mr. LaBonge is there in committee. Then
Thank you, and I apologize. I was in the room coming out here, but we have a great commissioner who does a great job for the County of Los Angeles. Probation officer, supervises the unit, has a full understanding of that very important aspect of life. But to be able to come and serve the city at the convention center and see the dynamics there, he's toured the facility recently with staff. He's prepared for this role, so I strongly recommend Mr. Bautista for this very important commission.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you very much. And as Mr. LaBonge pointed out, that he is a county probation officer and the head of a unit, already a public servant. So he understands the importance of public service. When I met with him, I was really impressed with how excited he is about this appointment. As a probation officer, he understands the importance and safety of the facility, but also that he just has a real excitement about the gem that we have in the convention center now, and how this convention center was once a white elephant in LA, is now very successful, booking conventions. It is profitable for the first time in many years, and the future is very bright there with what's going on at LA Live and Staples Arena and the hotels around there, that the future is not limited to us anymore down there, and he's going to help us take that to the next step, the next level. I was just excited to have a discussion with him because he's really excited about this appointment. So I commend the mayor for this appointment, and Mr. Bautista, good luck in this appointment. You'll do a great job for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Alarcon.
Members, it is very much my pleasure to support my friend Gilbert Bautista to this position. We actually went to college together. We played baseball at Valley Parks all over the San Fernando Valley. He's a heck of an athlete, a scholarship recipient at USC. Mr. Smith as a soccer player, and very talented on the field. But and also you of course know that he is a probation professional and has worked with the City of Los Angeles on many different levels. In fact, I think I remember him working at the old Van Nuys Community Center with troubled kids 20 years ago or so. We go way back. But I also want you to know that he's an educator. He has been a longstanding professor at the community college system, at Valley College in particular, and has many, many students. I'm a little surprised, quite frankly, that he was selected for a convention and exhibition center, but I think this proves the point about democracy, that people should be able to serve in capacities that aren't necessarily in their area of training, and that's what democracy is all about. And I think he is going to add that element of public safety. I think he's also going to add the element of education. And express to the folks in the Valley that he touches, many of whom, whether they're in the role of probation officer or as a teacher, a new understanding of how the LA Convention and Exhibition Center makes sense and why we should support it. So good luck and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That is our last speaker. Mr. Reyes, excuse me.
Thank you, Councilman. I was listening attentively, but I wanted to know if a few years back we wanted to open up our outreach, and the convention has responded by illustrating the great diversity of our city. Part of that highlighting was how we bring in the non-traditional locations, places that in of themselves, because of their sheer history, could be destination points, and could be places in which we could combine the presence of tourists, conventioneers, and have them have access to the highland parks of the city. All the great spots that we have here that aren't readily available in your brochures. Is that something that you would find of interest? And can I look to you as one of the leaders to bring in these neighborhoods that don't get that traditional exposure because marketing policies and marketing strategies don't include them? Can you respond to that?
That's a great question, Mr. Reyes, and I'd really like to respond by saying absolutely. Our city is a diverse city. We need to include everybody in all of our activities, and this is a great opportunity. This convention center, I believe, is second only to Las Vegas in revenues right now, but we continue to need to build and expand and bring more resources to that location, and the plans that I've seen will do that. Will bring in all the diverse elements that we have in our city, from the Pacific Ocean to the foothills in Pasadena, right, and elsewhere. So I fully believe that it will be incorporated. It's in the planning, and that my goal would be to make sure that it's fulfilled.
Well, once you're in there, would it be possible to share with my office how they're collecting, let's say, the chambers of Highland Park, the chambers of Lincoln Heights, the chambers of Encino, of San Pedro, with major events in the convention? Because perhaps we could host, as the smaller neighborhoods, conventioners who would want to learn more about the history of the city, because these are the original suburbs, or because they were the historic location where the port began. I mean, if there's anything like that you can share with my office, I'd love to hear of it, so we can further the coordination between the presidents of the chambers, the business investment districts, and strengthen that umbilical cord to the convention and make it a two-way street.
Well, again, that's a great comment, and the communication is vital. We need to reach out to the community and let them know what's there and how they can access this great facility that we have, and the future facilities that we will have. So one of the things that I would do and say, please contact me. I will work with the people at the convention center to make sure that we have that dialogue, communication, the collaboration, and we can make it bigger and better than it is today.
If there's any literature that exists today or any plans to do that today, please let us know, and I will be looking forward to your call.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Cardenas.
Mr. Bautista, thank you so much once again for offering your support and your volunteerism to the City of Los Angeles. Even though you have a day job, you go above and beyond the call of duty on that job. I've known you for many years, and I know how dedicated you are to the very diverse interests in the City of Los Angeles. But speaking of diverse interests, we have a convention center that is pretty new, but compared to what's going on next door, it's starting to look a little old. So my point to you is, I hope that what the convention center is looking forward to doing is taking a step back, thinking about how to modernize it, and also to try to bring it into the era that we've now commenced right next door with the LA Live and the more and recently a few years ago with Staples Center now being a renowned site throughout the country and throughout the world because of the events they have there. But our convention center is in fact a great place, and it is vast. It is large enough to attract the kind of conventions that any city would like to have. But I think one of the things as well is every time somebody comes here, they should have a memorable experience, something where they say, wow. So that being the case, I just want to ask you if your body is going to be looking at that, or if you are already.
Thank you, Tony, for the comments, and it's a great question. By all means, modernization is vital. The plans that I've seen for the LA Convention Center, they wowed me. Coming over the hill and sitting down and looking at the PowerPoint presentation, I was wowed, and I'm excited because of all of the possibilities that are going to be presented there, and people will want to come. Modernization, absolutely. The green or the phases of green power, ecologically safe, more solar power, more natural heating. Those are all things that I was wowed by, and I think you're absolutely right. We should wow people when they come here, and they should have a great experience. And I will work to make that happen for everybody who comes here.
So to the Angelinos who are sitting there listening to us wowing up the convention center, they're probably thinking, oh my gosh, there goes tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're going to try to hit me up for taxes. Those kinds of improvements should and will be done with convention center revenues, correct? The convention center actually attracts events, they collect fees and pay the staff, etc., and then they put money aside so that they can fix it up and make it better and beautify it and improve it and get more energy efficient ways to save money, all these kinds of things. That's done within a pocket of responsibilities and revenues that the convention center gets already, correct?
Correct. And the move, my understanding is that they are moving to be more self-sufficient every day, every event, bringing in revenues and becoming more self-sufficient and not I wouldn't say a burden on the city, but running in the black.
Okay, so the bottom line is hopefully what we have here is an opportunity of advancement, of improvement for the convention center, that is actually something that can be done without asking the taxpayers for their money or what have you. The convention center has revenue, it has ways in which it could bond and things of that nature to fix itself up without having to interrupt or interfere with other cash flow throughout the city.
Correct. They will renovate, but they will be self-sufficient in that process.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Before I ask a couple questions, Mr. President, Mr. Garcetti, on number 17, if I can go forthwith. Thank you. A question regarding the convention center. I've, like many of my colleagues, been to conventions around the country. Most recent, New Orleans, where there was a presence of security at the convention center. One thing that I notice at the Los Angeles Convention Center is we don't have a strong, visible presence of law enforcement. And not that they're arresting people, but just the mere presence of a police car, of an officer. And I think one thing you may want to look into is when we have a large convention come to Los Angeles, that we have a visible presence of law enforcement. And what it does is it makes the people feel comfortable. New Orleans doesn't have a real good reputation, but those of us that went to the National League of Cities convention noticed that from the hotel to the convention center there was a good presence of law enforcement and you felt secure. Mm-hmm. We need to do something to emphasize safety in that area. Not that it's an unsafe area, but when they see a presence of law enforcement, whether they're parked there, whether on a motorcycle or on a bicycle or something, it adds a sense of security. And I see that lacking at the convention center. when large events take place. They may have them scattered, but they're not very visible. So in your employment, working in the law enforcement field, my employment as a police officer and as a council member, that visible presence of the citizenry is important. So in your commission activities, when you go there and you see activities, maybe something can be done to emphasize some presence of uniformed officers, which again gives the people who are coming from many parts of the country to these conventions that sense of security, so they don't feel intimidated, they don't feel fearful, and it gives them that very comfortable feeling. Because many places where I've gone, I see that presence of law enforcement, and the people I'm with always feel very comfortable because they feel secure. That's one thing I think we can do to enhance the presence there at the convention center. And I want to state, it's not an unsafe area, but it does add that sense of safety to the public that many times is fearful because of certain stories that they read in the media.
Well, I will certainly take that, your concerns back. I am really safety in everything that I do in my professional life. And that was one of the first questions I had for the administration there at the convention center about safety. How many people and how many security versus how many people. So there's a ratio. So the numbers that I saw were adequate, but there's always room for improvement. I was wowed, again, by their security, the network of cameras they have around the building, and the preparedness that they have. I was very much impressed by that. But again, there's always room for improvement, and I will take that concern back with me.
And it just reflects on Dodger Stadium, where the Los Angeles Police Department now has officers assigned there in uniform. And again, as you're entering, you'll see the officers in uniform. It gives you that sense of safety and security. So mere presence of uniformed police officers for the individual who's a law-abiding citizen gives them that sense of security. So in your commission activities, just look into that.
It's a great point. And just by having those people there visibly, that settles a lot of individuals down. And I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry.
Republican lineup. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I wasn't going to say anything, but I overheard what my colleague had been saying, and since you're going to be new to the authority, I just wanted to put things in perspective for you. There's a fairly extensive security force present at the convention center now, and they work very closely with the Nokia and the AEG security team down there in place, and their uniforms may not be as obvious as maybe an LAPD officer's uniform, but in addition to all of that, there are LAPD officers who are permanently assigned to work in that area and have done an incredible job so far, handling massive, Laker games and concerts simultaneously with large numbers of people on the street. So I just wanted to emphasize that the convention center has done a really great job with the security force that they have on staff now, and I know that they're always upgrading and tweaking and updating their strategies, and the relationship they have not only with LAPD and not only with AEG and their security force, but with the Business Improvement District that has operated in that area and the one that is about to come online. So as you begin your assignment as a commissioner, please dig deep and feel free to call upon me as a council person in the area to understand who's there now, to the extent to which they have already been operating, and who the very active and very engaged stakeholders are in the area, because they've been doing an incredible job. The division that the convention center is located has always had pretty good numbers. Things have changed, and I was just telling Mr. Reyes, it always had pretty good numbers because basically hardly anyone was living down here. So the numbers were always low. This area, in spite of some people's maybe assumptions, was always a really safe area, and in particular, it was extremely safe around that area because, again, there was really no one living around there now. Now we have people living there, coming to see programs, concerts, things like that. So those things have changed, and all the convention center has been strategic and being anticipatory and doing strategic planning and joining with its neighbors at AEG and pulling in LAPD. And hopefully you'll have a chance to take a tour of the on-site facility where the LAPD officers are and working very nicely with everyone.
Well, I look forward to that opportunity, and I thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. That is our last speaker. Again, congratulations, Mr. Bautista, on your nomination. And let's go ahead and prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is unanimously approved. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Mr. President, do you wish to clear the desk before going into closed session?
Yes, please.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred.
There's an excuse on the desk. Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused Friday, February 8th to arrive at 11:30 for city business. A motion is required, and that would leave 11 council members.
Okay, I will move that then. Ms. Perry will second. Seeing no objection, he is excused.
And that clears the desk for closed session.
Okay. In accordance with California state law, we will now take up items of a legal matter or legal nature in closed session. If we have any votes that require a public vote, we will do that as well. But we thank members of the public who have come here today to watch, and we will reopen our doors to finish the meeting. But in the meantime, we will go into closed session. Thank you. We're back in open session. We're going to take up item that is before us on the Adelphia matter, item 43. If we can please open the roll on that.
And Mr. President, just for the record, that's accepting $50,000.
Correct. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
And Mr. Rosendahl was recused for that. If we can invite him to come back in. We'll take up, I believe it was number 44, Mr. Parks. Oh, we don't have to. Oh, no. You're okay to stay. We'll go through the next one, please.
Next case is item 40, and that's settlement in the case of Manukian versus Sosa et al., and that's in the amount of $425,000.
Okay, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Next item is item 41, and that's settlement in the case of Lottery versus City of LA. It's a workers' comp case, $148,845 plus a life pension thereafter of $78,313.91.
Okay, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, next item.
Next item is 42, and that's also a workers' comp case, settlement in the case of Timothy Sands versus City of LA in the amount of $99,812.79 plus the life pension thereafter $87,395.78.
Okay, please prepare the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, next order of business.
And that clears the desk.
All right, colleagues, announcements. Mr. Parks, I know you have some upcoming
We have
hearings.
a business announcement.
Absolutely, the best of kinds, and in the community. So, go ahead.
We have our budget committee is going out into the community on 4 meetings. Just would like to advise the public. February the 4th will be in the Valley. It's going to be hosted by CD12, and we'd invite all of the council districts in the Valley, 6, 7, 2, and 3, to encourage your community to come to that meeting. Also February, and that's CD12. Do we have a location yet?
It's on Balboa at Mission, and it's a Grata something.
Okay.
I forgot what it's
So
called.
we'll be announcing that before the date. February 25th, we'll be in West LA, and CD11 will host that, and we encourage CD5, 10, and 4 to participate. On March 17th, we'll be in the central part of the city. CD14 will host that. We'd ask 13 and 1 also to invite their community. And then on March 31st, in South LA, CD8 will host that at a location to be determined, and we'd ask CD9 and 15 to invite their community. So, and everybody should have a copy of the letter.
And just for clarification.
Thank you. Any other announcements of a business nature? If not, can I please ask everybody to rise for our adjourning motions today? Okay. Do we have any on this side? Anybody? No? Okay. Mr. Wesson.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. It is with great sadness that I rise and request that all of you join with me in a journey in the memory of Scott Aretano, who I've known for 2 years, and I know Mr. Garcetti and Ms. Perry and others who've served on HCED have known. He first came to the city of Los Angeles as an intern back in 1993 at the airport. I mean, he was only, he was born in 1973. The staff at HCED, I'm sure we all have a special fondness for our staffs, but I really fond of this group, and we have members from the staff and former members from the staff who have come down here today because everyone was devastated by this. Like I said, this young man was born in 1973, and in 1973 is when I first felt my arthritis, so we know just how young this man was. He left our department and he went to work for the housing department, but we were all still close knit. I remember we would tease him a lot because he was so matter of fact and kind of boring, and I would have fun with him over that. But he was very thorough, and he was very good at what he did. He was a good-natured young man. And it's my understanding that last Friday he was complaining of a headache, and over the weekend was taken to the hospital, and he died of a brain aneurysm. He was recently married. I think it's hard for me to even read my notes. His wife, his name was Cynthia, and he's survived by a 7-year-old daughter, Annabella. His services will be, or they'll have a viewing, will be held this Sunday, January 20th, at 225 North Garfield Avenue in Alhambra. And the following day, they will have funeral services at this Universal Chung Hwa Funeral Home at 225 North Garfield. A trust fund has been set up for his little daughter, Annabella. And if anybody is interested, please call the CAO's office at 213-473-7566. You know I've said this before, and I will say it again. I mean, when he came to work on Friday, I'm sure he figured that he would be back to work on Monday. So what that does, in fact, show us is that you're only promised this 1 second, this one moment that we're here. So it's important, again, for all of us to cherish the opportunity that we have on this side of the earth, and to make sure that individuals that are special to us, that we let them know how special they are to us. And so I just want to say to the staff that has worked with me, my dear friends, for the past couple of years, and I wish I could have said this again to Scott, thank you for your service to the city of Los Angeles. It is my greatest honor to serve with you, and this fine young man will be missed. And that should be, if it's okay, Mr. President, all members on that.
Just thank you so much, Mr. Wesson, and as has been mentioned, I think we're all devastated to hear. Scott embodied such goodness. He was a person who literally didn't smile a lot, but when he smiled, it warmed you. He was somebody who represented the highest ideals of our public service here. Couldn't say a single bad word about him. Somebody who was always on time. I enjoyed working with him for 4 years as former chair of HCD, and I know what you mean about that crew. It's an amazing crew, and I know he worked very closely with other members of the CAO's office and the CLA's office, but it was in those social moments outside of City Hall that we were able to spend together that I will most value. But we were just so shocked. We should be so lucky to have folks like Scott Aretano, and I know that we're surrounded by them, and I know it's been devastating for the staff to learn of this, and I hope we all won't just mourn his loss today, but will take care to nurture his family and to keep his memory alive here too. Are there any other adjourning motions? If not, Madam Clerk, please call the roll. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned. We will next be in session on Friday, the 18th of January. Thank you all.